smart people cannot work together. Among stupid people, the stupid guy with the most amount of confidence becomes the leader and he leads the pack. In Coimbatore, if you throw a stone, it'll land on a bakery, probably. Paniyaram is something which you don't generally go out and order very frequently. So it is an underrated dish. We use pure mozzarella, right? So if you would break open a paniyaram, you would get the proper cheese pull. So the beauty is that what's our USP? We don't have a kitchen. I was always taught, before we sit on this side of the table, we should always experience the other side as well. It's like a full-time job, right? It's not like another industry. So the logo is about buying mental real estate in the minds of the consumer. Well, I think communication is key. Yeah. We're trying to empower home chefs. Right?
It's a blend of so many things put together in the right proportion, especially with data analytics.
Absolutely. Very crucial. Numbers don't lie.
Yeah.
Bringing all of those passionate, smart people together, and when you build something with them, that's where magic is made.
No fairy tales, podcasters keep it real. Podcast is real, history is his or her story. No fairy tales, podcast keep it real. Podcast is real, history is his or her story. Keeping it real, keeping it raw, keeping it raw.
Well, let's get it started. First thing, for the people who don't know who you are, please give us a background story and how it all happened, and from the beginning till the Paniyaram Company.
Okay. Yeah. Well, that's going to be a long story.
Yeah, please.
No worries. Okay. Sounds good. So, hi, I'm Akash, Tekchandhani. I'm from here, Coimbatore. I live in Aspuram, born and raised. I did my schooling here as well in Coimbatore till about 5th grade. And then ever since then, it's been pretty nomadic. I went to a boarding school in Ooty for about 7 years called Laidlaw Memorial School.
Okay.
That's what's up. That was like the schooling part, and then after that I moved back to Coimbatore. I did my undergrad in Bangalore, Christ University, and since then the passion for business was always there, because like I come from a family business background.
Okay.
We are into plumbing materials. My mother's a fashion designer.
Okay.
So there are a lot of different things going on within our house as well. Everybody's got their own thing going.
So it was always on business.
Yes.
Everything on business.
Yep. Right from a very young age, that's exactly what I always wanted to do.
Okay.
Apart from being Spider-Man, of course, but
that's good. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So it was always related to business, but then there was always this thing about going traveling, seeing the world, gaining that international exposure. And I was always taught, before we sit on this side of the table, we should always experience the other side as well. So after my undergrad in Bangalore, I moved back to Coimbatore. I was here working in my family business for a bit, but then I also took up a job with a branding firm based out of Coimbatore here called Springboard. It was a great experience there as well. So it was always...
Wait a second. Springboard does it have
Digital.
something to do with language or communication? What is Springboard?
Springboard Digital. It's a branding firm, marketing and branding firm. Basically, we do everything. We used to do everything from scratch. I mean, they still do. Basically, what they do is they do branding and advertising.
I think I have given one of the voiceover for Springboard. Did they outsource voiceover for other people, like for their videos?
Possible. I'm not sure at the moment, because like when I was there, we were just a team of 5, and today they've grown to over a 30-man, 35.
So I think I worked with them for a few scripts for a video, I think. That's why I remember this name when you said Springboard.
Okay. Yeah, it's catchy.
Yes.
And they're really good as what they do as well. So, we got to learn a lot. We got to do some really cool stuff. And it was a cool consulting gig, right? Like it was, somebody would come to us with an idea and be like, hey, you know what? This is my idea and I want to build a business around this. And then we would, build their business model for them, do their branding, help them out with their logos and everything. But this entire part about, creating business models for businesses from different industries was amazing. Like it was something which I really enjoyed. So I've helped scale businesses in the infrastructure industry, in construction, in pharmaceutical, in FMCG, so a bunch of different things, right? So like I've helped scale businesses in all of these different industries, and it's amazing to see how business models can be different from industry to industry. So that was my gig at Springboard. After which I kind of moved to Boston. I went for my master's. So I did my first master's in international business.
Oh, okay.
In Boston. Well, I did my first undergrad. My undergrad was in business as well. So I did business administration in my undergrad, and then I moved abroad for my master's. So I did my master's in international business in Boston.
Okay.
And then, I wanted to do, initially when I went there, I thought, okay, you know what, maybe we should be doing marketing. But while I was there, I was really intrigued by the data space. I felt like there's a lot of scope there and there's a lot of good things I could do for businesses with the data space. So I pivoted into data analytics and business analytics. And so I kind of focused more on that. I did a second master's in business analytics. Which was in San Francisco. So I moved from Boston to San Francisco. I was there for about 4 years. After my graduation with business analytics, I worked with Adobe for a couple of years in San Francisco.
Nice.
So, and I mean, like, it was a great experience. It was challenging. It's not as rosy as it sounds from here. Like, everybody here thinks like you're having a blast. But life is slightly different there. And it was a slightly challenging course because I didn't have a computer science background, and analytics requires a computer science background. So it was a lot of hard work in terms of like courses before I kind of started my master's in analytics, and through my analytics program as well. Like towards the end, I was searching for a job at analytics, and everybody faces that chicken and egg problem of where's your experience in analytics? I'm like, that's what I want a job for.
Yeah, that's what happens here, especially when you get out of college. They come for the campus interview, right?
Yeah.
And they ask you, you're like, say, 21 years old, 3 years of degree. And they're asking you, we do need people with experience, right?
Yeah.
2 to 5 years. How are you going to get 2 to 5 years in 21 years old?
Exactly.
At least somebody should give you that opportunity. They should be the one to give that opportunity. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. So, I started off with a couple of unpaid internships. I was like, okay, you know what? Let's do it. So I got to start somewhere. So I was doing my college, which was a full-time course. I was doing an internship for this firm called, it was called Future Think Labs. And then it was then called Green Data. But basically what we were is an analytics firm as well. So I kind of interned with them, through which I got another internship for a company called Stratada. And this was a Microsoft employee who had started a firm on the side called Stratada. And they used to specialize in this tool called Microsoft Power BI, which is what I kind of started picking up then. So I started learning Power BI, how I could use that tool to do analytics for different businesses. And so that space was really interesting to me. And, while I was doing that, I started another YouTube channel called Akash Cooks. At the time, I didn't think I was going to get into the food industry. I was always very passionate about food. This was more about cooking with data. Cooking with data as in, like how these, you watch like a cooking show, there's like, okay, we put this into the oven and then it cuts to the scene where, okay, this is the ready piece. Right? So that was kind of like the concept behind the name. And so that time was like pretty crazy, right? Like I would have like 16-hour work days every day because like I was doing college, 2 unpaid internships, searching for a job, which itself is a full-time job, running a YouTube channel on the weekend. It was a hustle. It was a proper hustle. But it kind of paid off. So then I got my first gig at Adobe. And I worked with them in the enterprise analytics team, creating, making business decisions for Adobe Sign, Adobe. I worked with Acrobat. I worked with XD as well, a couple of creative tools. So it was a great time there. The office was great. It felt like Disneyland, like such
Adobe.
a fancy office. And
it's one of the dream jobs for a lot of people here, actually.
Yeah, absolutely.
Guys who work with Adobe think like they're working in Adobe. I mean, as in when they work with the laptop with the Adobe software, they always talk like they are with Adobe. So imagine how big of a dream it is.
Oh yeah. Absolutely. Yeah,
I was working with them, right?
Right. Yeah, I was super stoked at the time, right? So I worked with them for a couple of years, and slowly I felt like a cog in a big machine. I was like, okay, you know what? I need to do something more, something different as well. So I moved to a smaller firm called Projector, which was based out of Boston. So I moved back from California to Boston. Projector is a professional service automation tool. So it's kind of like it's a software firm, which is kind of like consultants to other consultants. So any project-based firm would use our software to track their resources, enter time, do accounting, run revenue recognition, and all of that cool stuff. So it was a great place to be. We had this concept called the kitchen table, where everybody in the company is heard, and everybody is equally involved in the growth of the company. The culture was amazing. So a couple of years later, at the time when I had moved to Projector, they had told me, the visa situation is tricky for any immigrant who's in America, right? And it's a lottery system, irrespective of how good you are or what merit you're based on. It's a lottery system. So I was very clear when I was joining them. I was like, hey, you know what? It's a lottery system. What if we don't get picked in the lottery? Then what?
Okay.
And they were like, see, don't worry. You know what? We'll figure out a way to keep you on. We want to work with you. So in the third year, they sponsored my visa and didn't get picked in the lottery.
Okay.
And I couldn't be in the country any longer. So I moved back to India.
Okay. Which time was this? It was not in the lockdown, right?
It was just after lockdown.
Okay.
So, everybody was already used to working from home. I was working from home in Boston as well.
Okay.
So it was pretty chill. And it was kind of like a decision I made. I was like, okay, you know what, let's go back, help the family business out, figure these things out. While I was here, I've been working for my company there. They were super supportive. They were like, see, we don't want you to mess up your sleep cycle, by working during the nights and things. You tell us what works for you and we'll figure out a way to keep it going.
Okay.
So I've been working about 1:30 in the afternoon to 9:30 in the night. I have a half a day of an overlap with them. That's when I kind of schedule my meetings. And during the rest of the day, I handle clients from other parts of the world, whether it was Australia, New Zealand, the UK, and that kind of situation. And then... So that's how I kind of moved back. And then while I was here also, they were just trying as hard as possible to get me back. So they've sponsored my visa. It then got picked. And now I have a visa, but I'm just buying time. Like I can go back if I wanted
Congrats
to.
on that.
But,
yeah, that's good. So visa's there.
Yeah, visa's there. They want me back in the office. But they're happy to have me work from here as well. So they were super supportive. It's been a great journey with them as well.
Okay.
And yeah, we were a team of, I was like the 35th guy to join that firm. We grew to about 55, and last year we were acquired by another firm. So now we're about 200, 250 plus.
Wow.
So it's been a good journey. And I do BI consulting for them, right? So.
Okay.
Our clients have their data in our software. I help them leverage their data to build out certain interactive dashboards, calculate certain metrics, and basically solve business decisions using their data. So they would tell me, okay, you know what, this is the business problem I'll have. And then based on their business problem, I look at the data and then help them calculate a few metrics which they can kind of track or analyze better to solve those business needs.
How much of this is like man and how much is machine? Like...
Well, you need a man to run the machine.
Yeah.
So it's mostly on the computer, but I would say it's man, right? Like it doesn't involve very active AI, although now it's something.
That's what I wanted to ask. It has a lot of, it doesn't have. Okay.
Yeah. Well, at the time it wasn't integrated. Now there is like Microsoft Copilot, which is an AI tool integrated with Power BI, and it's slowly like these tools are definitely coming up. Like they say, people are worried that AI will take away their jobs, but AI takes away only those people's jobs who don't use AI. Right?
Exactly. Yeah, that's what.
It was basically, and you always need that kind of a human touch, right? Like at the time, for me to be able to have that personal conversation with the client, it's all relationship building, right?
Yes.
Like they're associated with us for so long, they need somebody to be able to speak to. And then we would offer them consulting hours where we would like get on the phone with them, see what business problems they're facing. We had like this base package, which we would call it, which is basically like a set of interactive dashboards, which we had built. And then we, of course, customize it to suit every specific client because every business is different. So we would have parts which would cater to the executives. So we had like a business tab, which will speak about revenues of the business, how the business has been performing last month, how we're doing this month, which countries we're generating this revenue from, and all of that good stuff. We would have some stuff for the project managers, like how these projects are, what are the profitability on these projects. So all of that, basically all business metrics. I don't want to like get too much into it and bore you, but it was cool stuff, right? Like, so we would have a lot of these different metrics which you would calculate for a lot of different businesses. And then, so that's what I've been doing from here as well. And building businesses was always a passion. So while I was here, I wanted to do something in the food space. Now, the food space is pretty interesting, right? Like, it's a really cutthroat industry.
Why the food space? I mean,
because that's something I was always very passionate about. Like, we are big foodies even at home. We love to travel.
Hands-on cooking, or like the other side, eating.
I definitely I like to eat better food than I can cook. So yeah. Well, I can cook to survive. So and I always need a YouTube video to follow. So I need a recipe to follow. But yeah, I mean, when you live alone, you kind of gotta cook.
I know.
Yeah, she does. Of course. So well, it started with burning a few dishes and struggling to opening a cooker and stuff like that. But of course, like, you learned all that along the way. And although I didn't know how to cook too well, like, we would be able to tell how food should taste. I don't know, like, it's subjective, right? Taste is subjective, but it was always like a preference. So I was always very passionate about that space. The hospitality space, I think, is very interesting. It's really cutthroat. Everybody, the first thing people say is like, it's just not because you're passionate about food you would start a restaurant for. There's a lot of clarity you would need while you get into this kind of a space. So it is pretty a cutthroat space to be in. But I feel like if you do the right research and if you have some clarity around the space, all of that is definitely.
So you were helping build other business there, right?
Yes.
What made you think food is better of a business compared to the other things that you already built there? I mean, help build there.
Well, so
apart from the art side, apart from making the food, and apart from being a chef, the other side, the business of it,
So I think food is basically, of course, a lot of it stems from passion, but a lot of it is something which I know a lot about this space. I feel I wouldn't. Sorry, I take that back. There's always a lot to learn, but that was something which I was very interested in, and it is a very cutthroat industry. Apart from the airlines space, it is one of a very challenging industry to be in. So if you ask me, why you specifically chose space, because I'm analytically driven, right? Like, a lot of my decisions are based out of analytics. So if I had to look at success rates of different industries and where I can get a bang for my buck, food may not have been on the top of it.
Okay.
Yeah, there are a lot of other industries where you can, because like here it's like a full-time job, right? It's not like another industry where you're managing stuff over the phone or over a computer, or even like if you're doing trading, it's different, right? Like, you have some goods, you're tracking logistics and that kind of stuff. But the food industry is when your store is open, you're working, right? Like, and
24 hours.
It's absolutely. So there's a constant effort which this requires, and when we decided to do the food business, right, like, I felt like I needed to do a lot of research around the space. So then I was like, okay, you know what? I think QSRs, quick service restaurants, are the way to go to start off with. And within this space, it comes down to what kind of QSR you want to build, right? Like, what's the product going to be eventually. So we did a lot of research. This entire brand is very analytically driven. It's been, we thought about it, we approached it like a proper business case study. So we formulated a hypothesis. So we had a problem statement. And the hypothesis was, what product can I sell for 200 rupees? 200 plates in a day. And then we went through a variety of product ranges, and looking at market size. In our state, there are 3 constants. Dosas, biryani, alcohol. These are the 3 constants based on our research, what we found. And when we started analyzing it a little bit more, we felt that people were preferring dosas over idlis because it was crispier. But the batter is the same, right? So we would prefer dosas, and I personally prefer dosas over idlis as well.
Yeah.
But and we would make paniyarams at home, and I usually like paniyarams. We felt like, okay, this we have to be in the South Indian cuisine space, because I personally prefer a lot of pepper-based and curry leaf-based cooking. So the chettinad preparation is something which I really enjoy.
Okay.
And I think there's a big market for that. So then Paniyaram was a very interesting item. There was a lot of different things which kind of pushed us in this way. So one was definitely the numbers, right? Paniyaram is something which you don't generally go out and order very frequently. So it is an underrated dish.
Yeah.
There are dumplings which are so popular, across the world. It's like how we have paniyarams here. Japan has takoyakis. They have gyozas. Tibet has their momos, and
Yeah.
momos in India
Momos
is
become
so
very famous,
popular
yeah.
as well. So a lot of different kinds of dumplings are picking up, and these are shareables, right? Like you can go out there with your friend, and then you have a plate of a few one-biters, which you
Yes.
kind of share. So it was always a very interesting dish. Also, a little bit of inspiration comes from kids' food.
Okay.
Because Paniyaram, generally, like when a kid doesn't eat vegetables, the mother would stuff the Paniyaram with some
Everything
veggies,
inside
whether
and
it was
then-
carrot or whatever, and they would serve it to the kids, so that the kid enjoys the Paniyaram without knowing he's eating the vegetables. So some of the inspiration came from there as well, which is why our brand right now is also very kid friendly. Our Paniyarams aren't very spicy. We do have some chutneys to make it spicier if you'd like, but we wanted to keep it, universal. So there's a lot of flavor. Kids enjoy it as well. So we wanted to cater to the market, to the masses as well. So that's kind of how that was a little bit of research what we had kind of started doing. And then we categorized ourselves as a sub-premium brand. And when I say sub-premium brand, let's say you take fast food.
Okay.
Let's break it down into 4 major categories. Starting off with anything less than 50 rupees. So your
Okay.
street vendors and hawkers, right? Whether it's a vada pav or a pani puri or some of this chaat or any of that kind of stuff, right? Which is anything below 50 rupees. That's one category. Then the second category is something between 50 to 150 rupees. Let's say your Tibbs Frankies, your rolls, shawarmas,
Okay.
sandwiches.
Yeah.
And most of the evening snacks fall under that category, right? And then the third category, which is the sub-premium category, that's where we kind of want to be, is basically a fast food chains, right? Like KFCs or McDonald's, where pricing is anywhere between 150 to 300 or 350. So that range, I would call. And then the premium category is like when you start getting into pizzas and products which are slightly more expensive than 350.
50 to 500.
Yeah. So we would categorize, and we wanted to be classified under that sub-premium category. Some of our inspiration also came from Wow Momos. Like I did read a lot of case studies on
Okay.
Wow Momos and how they scaled their brand and how they kind of grew. So what we learned from them was positioning, like in terms of location. So location was very crucial to us. We wanted to be located in places where other brands are more expensive than us.
That's a really good location.
Exactly.
Talking about it, yeah.
Yeah.
Perfect place between those two places. Cream.
Right behind Cream
Cream
Store,
Store,
in,
yeah.
in SMS.
And SMS
Hotel.
is there, and then there is your place.
Yeah, and there's Subway as well. So if you look at that area,
Exactly.
right, we are relatively competitive in terms of our pricing, and we wanted to be positioned that way. So the location was very crucial. So if you look at a Wow Momos, you'll only see it in a mall or an airport or a food court.
Okay.
You wouldn't see it next to a shawarma guy or a Frankie guy.
Yeah.
Right. So we took a little bit of inspiration from there as well. So there's a lot of things to learn from a lot of different established businesses.
Okay.
Right. In the last 2 years, Wow Momos has grown about 86%.
Oh.
So that's crazy growth. So the fast food industry talks a lot about this growth. There was this podcast of Nikhil Kamath,
Okay.
the WTF podcast, where there was a session with. It was like it was a session on restaurateurs basically.
Okay.
So there was Zorawar, there was like Pooja from the baking space.
Oh, okay.
There was, basically these guys are big restaurateurs. They run socials, they run Smokehouse Delhi, they run a lot of these other big chains. So this is tried and tested model. It was a really interesting podcast to watch. So I learned quite a few things from there as well. as to how we would have to position ourselves, and that kind of stuff. So it took about 5 to 6 months of research first before we kind of started into this, and then even the location, right? It took us about 4 months to find that, because whatever I was seeing I wasn't satisfied with what I was seeing, and I just didn't want to like hurry things up because it's super important, right? Like I was in the field looking at brokers, meeting people, visiting sites, trying to identify some good spots, but nothing was convincing enough. And then but then at the same time we were working on the brand, right? So on the product. Now the product, my really close friends, Vando Pizza, pretty close to where you live, right? So we're all childhood friends. Dhiren and me grew up together. Siddharth, I know him ever since he moved to Coimbatore. So we're really good friends, and they do amazing stuff as well. Like they have a great pizzeria. They run a cloud kitchen. They do some amazing weekend menus, and they're super passionate about their food as well, right? So like Jack Ma from Alibaba says, he says, in smart people cannot work together. And he says, among stupid people, the stupid guy with the most amount of confidence becomes the leader, and he leads the pack.
Yeah, talking about Jack Ma, there was a session where Jack Ma and Elon Musk were there.
Yeah.
They couldn't agree.
Yeah.
I mean, different opinions. They were talking the same thing, but too much like the same thing you said, right?
Yeah.
Smart people cannot work together.
Right.
That's what happened when I saw that episode. Yeah.
So that's the interesting part, right? Like, so I feel like my job here is to kind of bring all the smart people and make them work together, right? Like, because everybody's so passionate. Like, even in my team, we've got a good head chef. We've got my brother who's handling the show. He's very passionate about the operations as well. So, bringing all of the passionate, smart people together, and when you build something with them, that's where magic is made, right?
Yeah.
So
But then how did you do that? Like, you told me that you cannot put these people in a place together, but how did it work? Like, how do you make them work? Like, 5 passionate people, imagine. How do you make them work?
Well, I think communication is key, right? And it's not like me making them work. It's more like we work together on it, right? So irrespective of expertise, like I bring different things to the table. My friend Siddharth brings different things to the table. Dhiren brings different things to the table. They've got a great team as well, Pavi and Varun, who help them out as well. So there's a great team, and they're very passionate as well. So basically, like, it's rather than me, if it was any other food consultant, right, I would be like, okay, see, this is what we need, and they would make a product. I'd be like, okay, I'm not happy with this. Maybe we got to improvise on certain things, and that's how the communication go. But with this, it's different, right? Like, we built all of it from scratch. Like, we were involved in the food at all times, whether it was costing, whether it was procurement, whether it was the product trials for all of these products. We tried we've thought about it at a very granular level.
Okay.
Whether it was a batter, we had 10 different batters. Okay, now the paniyaram is coming out well.
Okay.
What if I let this paniyaram sit for half an hour?
Okay.
Which batter works then? What if I have to put this in a moving vehicle for 40 minutes before it reaches a customer?
Food
what
safety
happens?
issues. Yeah.
So all of that, right? Like, we did all our different trials, we did all the different testings for every single ingredient. We brought is like very thoughtfully sourced. Like, my coffee comes from Bangalore. We wanted to do flavored coffee. In Coimbatore, if you throw a stone, it'll land on a bakery probably, because
quite a lot of bakeries.
Quite a lot of bakeries. A lot of the filter coffee scene is pretty massive. We want to do something which isn't too common. So there are filter coffees. There are
talking about coffee. Starbucks just recently landed here.
$350, right? Like, criminal. I'm personally not a big fan of Starbucks. I do like coffees, but I would prefer other chains like
Blue especially
Bottle,
when you're somewhere in the Western country or somewhere outside of India and you're used to Starbucks and Jeffrey's coffees and other things, right? Yeah. That money that they charge is definitely criminal, like you said. Yeah. And definitely there are so many other places that you could go for half the price and it tastes very authentic, different flavors.
Yeah, well, if you're going to go for like an Italian coffee made out of a machine, then I would definitely recommend Vando, right? Like, I would take Vando's coffee over Starbucks any day of the week. So it's a lot of thought which kind of goes into that. And what we did was we wanted to do something different. So we didn't want to do like the proper Italian coffees because we are with the Paniyaram Company. Right? But at the same time, I didn't want to do filter coffees because like it's available everywhere and it's cliche, right?
Okay.
And so what we kind of went for is this thing called freeze dried coffee. Well, most like a lot of the instant coffee is also freeze dried coffee, but basically it's a process where like when these beans are roasted with certain flavors. So I didn't want to add any syrup or any. My ingredients, what we are using in our food is we are focusing on that a lot, like because it's a passion project, right? And I'm not looking at profitability right from day one. Like I want to build a good product. So the coffee we've got is basically I'm not going to name from where I sourced it, but
we don't want the secrets out.
It is a Bangalore-based brand. It's huge, and they do some really cool coffees. And then we get our hot chocolates and iced chocolates from Bangalore as well. So we import a lot of that stuff. So speaking of coffees, like the style of coffees is not a filter coffee, it's not a machine coffee, it's something like what you would make at home where you would put your coffee powder, have like 60 ml of milk, and then beat the coffee nicely till it becomes a paste, right? And then you pour milk and froth it with a frother. So that's the kind of coffee we're doing. And speaking of trends, it's kind of like an upside down dalgona, if you may.
Oh, okay.
But no, that's kind of the coffees. But everything else, right? Like I don't expect our end consumer to always understand certain aspects of what goes into the procurement part. Like the meat what we use, I only use the thigh of the chicken.
Why is it?
Because that's the part of the chicken which is really tender. More than the breast, right? Like I wouldn't use we don't use breast or any other chicken. So like if I buy 20 kilos of chicken to make my paniyarams, the filling for the paniyaram, my yield is only 9 kilos from it, right? The bones of like throwing away. Right? So, but the point here is to create a beautiful product, and that's what we're doing. Even our mutton, what we get, right? It's proper halal mutton. We have a really popular vendor in Araspuram, where we've been buying, even for our house, we used to buy from him. So that's where we kind of go. He's expensive, but his mutton is really good, right? Like the right age of the goat and the lamb and the fat trimmed, boneless, cost about like what, $1,300-$1,400 a kilo. It's pricey, okay, but the product is amazing. So that's kind of what we wanted to go for. So our ingredients are all top notch. Very premium ingredients, because again, right, it's kids' food also, right? So I want kids to be able to eat it, and that kind of stuff. So that's talking about the ingredients and how good our procurement is.
Perfect. Yeah, that was good. That was really good. So now I'll go into the question sessions. Yeah.
One thing I forget to mention, in fact, like I don't speak about this too often, but another part about this Paniyaram company is that we're trying to empower home chefs. So all my fillings, what we have made, the chutneys and the fillings, right? We partnered up with a home chef based out of Araspuram. So she's about 60, 65 years old, and she's been cooking for over 45 years. She used to be a partner with this app called Cooker.
Yeah.
Which is kind of like a Swiggy for home chefs.
I think last 1 year it's pretty famous here. Yeah.
But the thing with a lot of these third-party tools and apps is like the commissions are really high, and when a home chef doesn't have too much help, they're working on their own out of the kitchen, it's kind of hard to maintain profitability. So we wanted to empower the housewives and the home chef segment. So I've kind of had our food consultants, the Vando team, kind of help out. So they've helped out with the recipes and the curation of the menus and the training of the staff and everything, right? So they have helped train her as well. And since she's been cooking for so long, it's easier, right? You just tell them the recipe and the taste, and then they're able to get the hang of it. Wow. So to build that consistency, right?
It's a blend of so many things put together, in the right proportion, especially with data analytics.
Absolutely, very crucial. Numbers don't lie.
Yeah, I mean, especially in this way. I mean, I've seen it work for different things, but the way you're saying, right? I mean, it's almost like a certain thing done just because you want to make another thing really well and put together, and then it gives you the right, exactly what you need.
Absolutely. Yeah. So the beauty is that what's our USP? We don't have a kitchen. We're a
Oh,
food
okay.
brand without a kitchen. But
That's
we
a marketing
make
statement.
fresh food. It is.
Food
So,
brand without the kitchen. Okay.
I did help set up her entire kitchen for her, like in terms of equipment and everything.
Okay.
We kind of got her to where she needed to be in terms of being able to produce top quality fillings and chutneys. Even the chutneys, we had like 12. We had to shortlist it down to 6. So we do have a few backup as well. It was really challenging because all of them tasted so good, right? And yeah, we do have a few more backup chutneys. Once we are a little bit more into the business, we'll try and bring out some, weekend chutneys and try switching out a few of them to give the community a little bit more of what we were working on.
Yeah. Sounds like there's quite a lot.
Yeah. Oh, there is. There is a lot to grow. I mean, and I've also had like a few mentors along the way. Vanji uncle from Boomerang has kind of
Okay.
helped me in basically just he's a great person to kind of bounce some ideas off, and he would be really blunt. Like he wouldn't say things which are nice. He'd be like, oh, okay, nice things are supposed to be nice. So I'm only going to give you like what isn't, right? So he would give me all like our conversations would always be, he would always play the devil's advocate in terms of whatever discussion we were having. So I think some of those conversations were very fruitful to building our business as well.
It's good to have somebody like that.
Yeah,
I mean, not a lot of
absolutely.
people like that, especially when it's a competitive environment, same industry.
Yeah.
Maybe different space, but same industry,
Absolutely.
right?
Like in our city, how many brands have lasted over 20, 25 years, right?
Yeah.
Barely, right? Like you
You
can
know
count
the
them on
data.
your hand, like Annapurna, Ananda, That's Why Food, Haribhavanam.
That's why they are who they are, right?
Yeah, exactly. So it's all about a learning experience, right? Like we got to listen, hear out from the veterans, right, of the industry. So it's always, every day is a new learning experience.
Great.
So
Well, the next question is, how did you decide that it's going to be Paniyaram? I mean, you already told me why it went from idli to dosa to this dish, but how do you fix on, okay, it's going to be Paniyaram, that's it?
Yeah.
What was the main factor? I mean, like a few things.
The main factor is that it's such an underrated dish. It's not available in many places, right? Even in our city, you would get it in the popular South Indian places only during breakfast, right?
Okay.
And it's a regular kuli paniyaram. There's so much more you could do with that dish. It's a very underrated product. Like you could stuff it with so many different fillings. You could have so
Mostly
many
it's only
different-
vegetarian, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
it's only vegetarian, right? And I love the curry dosas and the idli, the curry idlis, and like basically non-veg going with South Indian food is a great combination. So that's kind of how we narrowed down on Paniyaram, right? Like it was a product which isn't too popular.
Okay.
Do we have our own dumpling? No, we don't.
No.
Right, like popularly at least, right? I mean, of course, our country is so diverse in terms of food that every state has their own different cuisines, but we don't have something which is global, right? Like a gyoza or a momo or a, we don't have which dumpling represents our country, right?
It's mostly dosa, idli.
Yeah.
It's become
and
almost like, I mean,
chicken tikka masala, as they say.
Yeah,
right? Like
exactly. It's
the
become like the
national dish of
stereotype.
UK. Did you know that? Like,
yeah, 2 months back I was reading one of the data or something like that, and they said there was a stand-up comedian who was actually making a joke about this, who was saying, you guys, what else do you have other than chicken tikka masala? Basically, it's their dish now.
yeah,
That also it's
exactly.
not their own authentic. They took it from India. That's what it means.
Yeah. So these dishes are very like our country is very diverse, and basically this is a dumpling which I wanted to popularize to the world as India's version of the dumpling.
Perfect. So can you talk us through your signature dish? Yeah.
Sure. So we have a few different signature dishes. I mean, it was a little hard for me to pick between some of these dishes because all of them we spent a lot of time. But based on the numbers, initially I thought our signature dish would be the chettinad chicken or a mutton chukka, which is one our top 3 sellers. But the ghee podi paniyaram has just made waves. Everybody seems to love it, and that's one of the paniyaram of ours which is not stuffed. All our other paniyarams are stuffed. This is basically tossed in a paste of idli podi and ghee.
Yeah.
So we have a lot of ghee and idli podi, and we mix it to make a paste, and then we toss our paniyarams in that, right? And then we pour the paste of ghee and podi over the paniyarams. So it's like a nicely coated paniyaram with idli podi and ghee, and that people just seem to have loved it. So that's really popular. Chettinad chicken is my personal favorite.
Okay.
But the mutton chukka and the chicken Szechuan also is really popular. In the veg, apart from the ghee podi, the cheese chili is really good. The cheese chili, because like we use pure mozzarella, right? So if you would break open a paniyaram, you would get the proper cheese pull.
Okay.
So our cheese chili is really popular, and then pepper mushroom. We do soy keema. So we have a few different veg options. We have a lot of veg options as well. And in addition to that, the chutneys. The Colombo chutney is one of our signature dishes.
Oh, what is that? I mean, it's
So
new.
yeah, it's new. It's new. Colombo chutney is basically, if you see, Colombo is generally a watery
Yeah.
thing, right? Like it's watery. Here we slow cook it for about 3 hours, so it thickens up a little bit.
Okay.
So it tastes like a Colombo, but the texture feels like a chutney.
More thick.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
it's a slightly thicker version of the Colombo. So yeah, I just don't enjoy it when I get a plate of idli where the chutney is like super watery and it's like flowing down.
Oh, you
around
like
my
it more
plate.
thick.
Yeah, I like the thick chutneys. I feel like it's just a way of cost cutting, right? Like where you pour a liter of water into your chutneys to make the quantity larger, and that's not something which
You want to do.
yeah.
Got it. Understand.
Yeah. Nor do I want to eat it when I go outside as well.
Okay.
So we are always fans of like the Getty chutney, as
Oh,
they say.
okay.
So all our chutneys are, thick, pure chutneys, and the Colombo chutney also we've kind of thickened it up a little bit, so it gives us that flavor, and it goes really well with all our non-veg paniyarams and anything, even the mushrooms or soy paniyarams. It goes very well with that flavor profile,
Wow.
basically. Oh, and our pal soda. So there's this another beverage we have called the pal soda, which is one of my friend's grandmother's recipe. Because when I heard it for the first time, I'm like, milk and soda. I'm a little sus about that. I'm not so sure. But they were like, no, you got to try it. It's tried and tested. The people have been having this for years. And honestly, it was really good. Like, it was way better than I expected. It's kind of like, let's say you have a rose milk,
Yeah.
right? But this is a little bit more fizzy. So it's like a fizzier version of the
Carbonated.
road milk.
Okay.
Yeah, of the rose milk. And we have other flavors like mango was really popular in the summers. And we do a really good strawberry one as well. So we've got a few different flavors of pal sodas, which is our unique beverage. And so, yeah, definitely a must-try beverage. It's also, I think it would be on the lines of like a Coke float, what you would get in McDonald's.
Okay.
Like where you would have vanilla ice cream on the Coke, right?
Yes.
In this case, it's milk with soda.
Yeah.
So,
Oh, very close.
yeah. Similar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what.
Healthier.
Only the form is different, I think. Yeah, that's ice cream and this is
milk, and this is like flavored milk, and
Yeah.
that's Coke. So,
Definitely more healthy.
yeah.
A lot of times, actually.
Yeah, we can't clean bathrooms with pal sodas.
Oh, that's a good one. That's a good one. So the next question is, now people are so big into health and diet, right? So when you're planning your ingredients for the Paniyaram Company, right? So did this play a role, like health and diet?
Yeah, absolutely, right? Like evening snacks, right? Our paniyarams are really popular in the evenings as well. So when you go out and eat the average snack, right? Whether it is chaat or whether it is, it's mostly fried, right?
Deep fried.
Yeah, deep fried. Right? So it is the options there aren't too many healthier options. So we did want to, even if you're going with a momo, sure, it's steamed, but it does have maida or
Yeah, I mean,
flour,
to tell you the
right?
truth, there are no healthy options. Mostly if you're eating a snack and if it's not cooked at home, it's definitely not healthy.
Yeah.
Somebody's trying to cut the cost and pouring that liquid into the chutney.
That's right. Yeah.
Or doing things like that.
Yeah. So, I mean, which is why, like, we have an open kitchen.
Okay.
Because we want to showcase hygiene, we want to showcase our ingredients. You walk into the Paniyaram Company, you will see everything right there, right? So there's nothing hidden. Everything is like in transparent containers. You see all the ingredients which are being used. My staff will be wearing gloves and chef caps and making all of the dishes right in front of you, right? And it's very ASMR as well to take a video of or watch it. Very satisfying to see a paniyaram being made. So we wanted to give the customer that experience. Like we eat with our eyes first, right?
Yeah.
So the visual experience is very important. And that's what we kind of brought in to this concept as well, where we kind of have like this open kitchen concept, where everybody can see their food being made, everybody can see their ingredients being made. So it is definitely healthier. Also, sure, there is a little bit of oil which is used to make a paniyaram. You would need oil, definitely. So that's the part of it where we use a little bit of oil, but everything other than that is like super healthy. Like it's a much healthier snack to have, right? Rather than your average snacks which you would get outside. Sure, we can do millet-based paniyarams, ragi-based paniyarams. We have had a lot of options in terms of that, but since we are in a category creation market, right? Like since we are still popularizing paniyarams, we want to popularize the classic paniyarams first, right?
Yeah.
Before we kind of
Go
into different healthier alternatives.
Understood. So first, I mean, it has to be marketable to people for them to come and have this, right?
Yeah.
So the ghee podi paniyaram is the fast-moving dish.
Yeah. The ghee podi, the chettinad chicken,
Okay.
cheese chili, and mutton chukka. I would say these four are
Like the biggest.
Yeah.
Okay. Perfect. Next, we'll have a few questions about customer experience. Yeah. Like, how do you give customers a positive dining experience?
Sure. Great question. So, firstly, when we go out and eat, right? When you go out to a restaurant, you not only expect the food to be good, you expect good food that goes without saying.
Yeah.
Because we get good food at home, then why go out?
Yeah.
Right? It's the service,
Yes.
which plays a very important role in that, right? So the food definitely has to be good, and that's a no-brainer. It goes without saying. But making the customer feel like feel special, feel homely. This dish is something which your grandparents would make for you, or your mother would make for you. So we want to bring about that kind of a homeliness vibe. So we're there personally to explain about our brand, talk to them, check in on them in terms of, and all of this goes without saying. I think every restaurant has to cater to their customers, make them feel special, because it's the whole experience. It is not just the food, right? Like right from when you walk into the store till you leave, everything is in charge. I mean, I think even in my case, like it begins even at home. Like before I go to a place, I already know what I want to eat there. Of course, I'm going to speak to the chef about his popular dishes, but I've already looked up the menu before I go to a place, right? Like
You're not going to go there and then think about what's going to happen and what you're going to select.
Yeah. When I go there, I meet somebody there. I already have a background about what dishes they're serving. So then, for me, it is about making the final decision as to speaking to them about what would they recommend.
Wait a second. So when you say that, when you go out with your friends, right? I just want to ask.
Yeah.
So you're never. This is a normal question.
Oh, I'm the designated guy to order food.
So now I get it. Now I get it. Because most of the time when we go out with friends, right? Everybody's like, what do you want? What do you want? Maybe 15 minutes, that's what we are doing. 15, 20 minutes, right? So, I mean, that's good. So now, perfect.
Well, that's the problem I face when I'm on Swiggy or like...
It's almost like Instagram. You just want to keep scrolling. You don't know what you want.
What else? What else? Like, oh my God, I order so much on Swiggy. I can't even tell you. It's like... So, there's this 20 minutes of my day where I get to chill. Okay? Like... because I'm working the US job, I'm working Paniyaram Company. The whole day is pretty packed, right? Like, right from 9 in the morning till about 2:30 is my typical work day. 2:30 in the morning is my typical work day. So it's a pretty long work day. But I do get myself this 25 minutes in the night at around midnight where I'm like on Swiggy, order of food. And I find it illegal to like eat without watching something. So I'm like, I put on like a show.
I cannot do that. I cannot sit and eat without not watching something.
Right?
I mean, or else I'll almost be like, I'm not going to even eat. I'm going to sleep. If there's nothing to watch, Maybe there is something. That's more like before picking the food that I want to eat, I have to pick the show that I want to watch.
I know, right? There's so many important decisions to be made, like which show to watch, which where to order food from, and I mean, like I enjoy a proper dining table experience where I don't want anything to watch and I want to sit and enjoy my food and look
okay.
at that when I go out. But
you're
on a daily basis, like I want some food to come. I want to try a new restaurant or a new place. Sit on my bed, watch a show. It's my worst habit at the moment, but it's my favorite 20 minutes of the day. So it's a little bit of a love-hate relationship
Really
with
good.
that habit.
Yeah. I cannot just eat without anything going on here. I mean, it's still hard for me.
The other day I ordered Swiggy and I was like, location kontingla, and he was like, சார் வாரத்தில் 5 தாட்டி நீங்கள் ஆர்டர் பண்ணுறீங்க உங்கள் வீடு நல்லாவே தெரியும் சார் so the Swiggy guys like knows the house is so well.
Maybe next time he'll call you by your name.
Probably. So speaking of Swiggy, the other day I had a great experience. So we just went live on Swiggy day before yesterday.
Okay.
For the Paniyaram Company. We are going to go live on Zomato sometime next week. But I wanted to see the entire experience.
Okay.
So that night, I ordered food
From your
from my
place.
restaurant. It was a proper process. So I wanted to do an entire analysis on
Okay.
Swiggy. Okay. So it took me about an hour and a half to order food because like I was analyzing the entire customer experience, right?
Okay.
Like what's right, what's wrong, what our description should be, up to the extent of what the order of our chutneys should be based on what goes with the dish and which chutney I want the customer to try and that kind of stuff. So analyzing how the Swiggy store is built, the images, the caption, the descriptions for these dishes and everything, right? So making a note of all the things I need to change and edit on the store, and also placed an order for a few different dishes, and specifically those dishes which I want to see how they travel.
Okay.
Right, like we have a strawberry and cream paniyaram, which is a dessert paniyaram.
Yeah.
That's kind of like a choux pastry where we cut the paniyaram in half, have strawberry compote and cream, and then we pack it and we put it on top as well.
So you want to know while travel if anything happens?
Yeah.
Okay, if it's good.
Yeah. So what we started doing was for deliveries we packed the strawberry compote and the cream on the side. We do a layer of cream in the middle, but we don't put it on top because it has to travel.
Move, yeah.
So we serve it in the chutney containers on the side where the customer can drizzle it on it, right? Even then, so then I ordered a few items. So once I placed the order on Swiggy, I'm on my CCTV looking at the store. I'm like, okay, I've just put an order. I'm seeing the bill come out. I'm seeing my staff start making it, right? My food's ready in 6 minutes, but the Swiggy guy is not here. I'm like, wait, why? Isn't the Swiggy guy here yet, right? So you start getting into things like what is the time?
What do they call it? Searching for delivery executives.
That's right. Yeah, it says your delivery executive will be assigned at 12:35. I'm like, I've ordered my food 40 minutes ago. Why are you waiting half an hour? And I'm seeing in my camera my food is ready.
They didn't know the owner of the shop is going to order the food.
Yeah, well, I think every owner of every shop should.
They should do this.
So I watched the entire process of the food being made and being packed. It's ready for pickup. And once they hit get ready, that's when the delivery executive was assigned to pick up my food. And so that took him about 4 minutes to get there. When I ordered my food, so this was midnight, right? So when I ordered my food from Araspuram to Pilamedu, it shows me 50 minutes. But my food arrived in 30 minutes.
Okay.
So Swiggy gets a good name. That they delivered faster.
But they show this time.
But I could have delivered it 6 minutes even faster.
Okay.
Right? Because my food was ready and it was sitting for 5 minutes till the delivery executive came. Right? So for me, I'm all about the efficiency, right? Like I need it.
So how do you solve this problem?
So what I'm trying to do is have like a really minimal preparation time for Swiggy. Now, when I'm packed, like yesterday, we were super packed, right? During that time, I understand, because everything has to go through a KOT system. And it's like a first come, first serve kind of an order system, right? So in that cases, if a Swiggy order comes and there are few orders being made, then it may take me 10 minutes to get that food ready. But when it's a little off-peak hours, I can deliver my food. I can pack my food in 6 minutes, right? So we did a lot of trials around that as well. Like for my staff, we would time them, right, as to how quickly we can improve. And it's kind of like a Formula One pit stop.
Okay. How fast do you?
How
change the
fast
tires?
you can change the tires without compromising on the quality. So because it's fast food, right?
Yeah.
And the goal is to minimize the time between when the customer places the order and receives it. So that's the problem we are trying to solve in terms of this. And with Swiggy, we were analyzing this part, right? So like I need to be able to set a really low time on my Swiggy, and sometimes they don't let me go below 15 minutes. I'm like, my food is ready in 10 minutes, right? So then when I hit when food is ready, that's when the delivery executive is assigned, and then he comes and takes the food and things like that. So we are also looking into integrating with Porter, trying other options where I can get my
Faster.
food sooner to the customer, because like we do paniyarams, right? I don't want it to get soggy. So
There
even
is a
for
time.
that, there is a time, and we've addressed that issue by doing a lot of R&D on the packaging boxes
Okay.
as well. Like I have specific steam holes in the box where like
Little
think about it.
ventilation.
If you put French fries in a box and close it, right, then
It's going to become soft
it's
and soggy. Yeah, mainly.
so we've kind of did a lot of R&D on that part as well, of the where we got.
So you also sit with the R&D, or there is somebody who's doing this, or
No. It's me for the most part, like involved in it. But yeah, with my team generally to like analyze. Somebody's doing the cooking. We're looking at existing packaging. I'm speaking to vendors who can manufacture this kind of packaging for me. Have imported my packaging all from Gujarat. So we've basically it's today we are like pan India, right? Like it's a global borders are kind of slowly getting blurred.
no more borders.
So
Anyway, talking about this, there are so many details that goes into so many things. Not a few things, like a lot of things. Especially when you work in different departments, people who are talking about it have no clue about it, right? So how do you like research? Yeah, I understand research, but even when you do the research, so many things are like over the top. That's it. Very superficial. You don't know what's happening inside, only outside, right?
Yeah.
How do you especially when you talk about this? Yeah, this food is going inside. It's going to travel for a while, right? And it has to be kept in a container that can handle all these things. That's like almost to the dot. How do you know this one in every other place? Like, as in not only with this, right? How do you research in a way that you can find out all these things, and you're the guy who's telling everybody this?
So I think it's just a more of a past experience has been with building a lot of different businesses.
Okay, so you go into the depth. I mean, the detail, everything.
Absolutely, anything I do or eat, I need to know. I want to know as much as I can about it. So, and it's also like if you start a business or if you're like an entrepreneur, you need to be at least 80% good at every department. You may not need to be 100%.
80 is needed.
Yeah, as much as you can.
Most of them 20. Yeah,
jack of all trades.
That's what I was thinking when you said 80. I was like, no, jack of all trades. That doesn't work. Maybe.
Yeah, I think as an entrepreneur, you need to be a jack of all trades.
Yeah, but 80% is like too much.
Well, if you're a master, then you would be 100, right? So, I think even the lot of teams which work with us have learned a lot. My social media guy, my creatives team, like they're very good with creatives, but it's not just about the creatives. There has to be a strategy behind it. Is this going to directly translate to sales in my restaurant? Even my logo, there's a lot of color psychology which has gone into it. Everything, like my tagline,
So you're sitting behind this.
Everything. It is like so.
So the job that you did before helped you like a lot.
I think the job helped me, but I think it's also a little bit of curiosity as to a lot of reading, a lot of personally also, like if I can't get through a lot of books, then it's just consuming content, right? Today, in today's day and age, it's about you're consuming content either way, whether you like it or not. So if you're consuming content either way, then you might
make
as well
sure you take what you like.
No, more than what you like, what's more productive.
Especially when it comes to business.
Yeah, exactly. So I think, you know how they say, like, you know, as an entrepreneur, you kind of jump off the cliff and then build your parachute along the way. So it is like a little bit of, you need to kind of be open to that. And if you understand the different aspects of the business, and I think it's also very important to be organized. So I do have, you know, a few different tools which I kind of say, like, and I'm old school, right? Like, I need to be able to write things down in my notebook, and I have a whiteboard. I have a productivity planner. And it's about like of the point where you shouldn't get so organized that your tools
Nothing
become
is happening. It's almost like a procrastination situation, right? Certain things are not happening because you're so much into the details. Sometimes you're like, okay, do I do it or not? I mean, how do you decide like this is what has to be done?
So basically, I have kind of like a Gantt chart for a lot of my tasks. As in, like, I would have the timeline and I would prioritize what needs to be done first. And then all of these tasks are broken down into different departments. You know, whether it's the product, whether it's marketing, whether it's social media, whether it's the legals. You know, whether it is about location, whether it is about licensing. There's a lot which goes into it, right? So based on all of these different categories, I have my broken down into different tasks. And the timeline on these tasks as to when I should be able to achieve this by, and prioritize it, right? So at the end of the day, it's about, okay, today I need to make 5 decisions. Which of these, out of in my list, which are the top 5 prioritized decisions I need to make? So once I make those 5 decisions, then it goes down to the additional tasks. So it's about just keeping yourself productive every day. That, you know, things keep moving. It was a little challenging over here when I moved back in terms of punctuality. Like,
as in from others.
Yeah, because like I'm a consultant, right? Like we used to charge our clients by the hour, so I'm like 3 minutes there before time, and you know, and
that's one thing we have to learn here.
Yeah,
this is the truth, especially compared to the other places. A lot of other places actually, right?
Yeah. I called my electrician. He's like, I'm coming. When? I'll be there in 2 hours.
1 week later, you'll get the same message. So imagine you're trying to build something and then you are dependent upon all these kind of people. That's...
Yeah, exactly. So, and then like sometimes your commitments to other people are based on commitments from them.
That's what. You cannot do anything unless somebody does something and then only you can do something for them, right?
Exactly. So, that's something which I'm kind of learning to deal with, and it's just another hurdle, right? Like as long as, you know, we are able to make productive decisions every day, then you're just improving every day, and as long as you're a better person the next day, or like you've made
there is progress.
There is progress. As long as there is progress, even if it's slow, it doesn't matter. As long as there's
something that weird happened with a consumer or a customer.
So far, responses have been okay. So we've got a board, branding board in my outlet called "Better Than Your Amma's Paniyarams."
Who came up with this one first?
It was me. It was me. I was on a trip. We were thinking about taglines as to what I should put on my staff's uniform, right? Like on our t-shirts, what we make. We wanted to have a t-shirt coat. So we came up with a few different ones. One of it, like we have, is in a world full of idlis, be a paniyaram. You know, something like Rajnikant of snacks, always in style. You know, so we have a few different taglines. We were coming up with that. Even like our brand is since it's a fast food brand, it has to be a loud brand but also welcoming. So if you look at our store, it has like a lot of different illustrations and comic sketches about people talking like stunt master paniyaram, perfect flips every time, because you're flipping the paniyaram right on the kallu. So there's like illustrations of paniyarams, and like, we have a few different you know, like funny taglines like, hey, did you know rum is made from paniyaram? And then somebody like, oh, that's so funny, Aram. It's like, it's just a wordplay, basically, right? It's just can be a little cringe or thing, but it builds a little bit of a friendly vibe to the place, and it gives that fast food loud brand vibes as well.
So what did they say?
So speaking of the Better Than Your Amma's Paniyam, so it's always been a conversation starter. People find it witty. People like to, people take pictures of it and things like that. And it's a conversation starter. But there was one person. In fact, it happened yesterday. So there was a group of people, and everybody, they're having a blast, right? They're really enjoying themselves. They love the food, and I was talking to them, and They were very friendly. They had some kids, and I served them some dessert paniyarams. Everything was going on really well, and they were all joking, and they pointed to they came with their mother, right? So, um, and they were like, then his mother was asking me, "Ninga anga better than your amma's paniyaram anta potrikkinga." Okay. Just like a subtle kind of a thing.
Okay.
I was like, "Nah." Yeah, because we're doing it slightly different. When we put paniyarams, basically, you make paniyaram on the third day.
Okay.
Once the first 2 days, the batter you make idlis, dosas. Once it's a little sour, then you start making paniyarams with it, right? So, and then when you make paniyarams, you generally mix the mustard seeds, the curry leaves, the onion in the batter, and then you make a regular kuli paniyaram. But since we do stuffing and filling in it, where we've got like meat, we can't be using sour batter. We need to use fresh batter. So our batter comes every morning, every afternoon. It's fresh. So because we need to do fillings in it. So we basically don't mix it in the batter. We mix it in the filling, which goes into the batter.
Okay.
So it is a different take on the paniyarams. It's slightly different in terms of prep. And so I told her, see, that's, we do it differently. It's slightly different from what we make at home. But, just the fact that you spoke to me about this, it makes my board worth it. It's a conversation starter, as long as you had this conversation. And it's kind of like a friendly banter. It's a witty tagline. So.
Why did it not go with the tagline in the logo and it's just in the board or something? I mean, this one, especially this tagline when you said.
Yeah, so the logo, as in the logo has to be. So the logo is about buying mental real estate in the minds of the consumer, right? So we wanted to be a loud brand, and my brand is very self-explanatory. It's called the Paniyaram Company. So you understand what it is.
All about Paniyarams.
Paniyaram as a dish is called different things in different places in our country, right? Some people call it appe, some people call it paddu. In different states, it's called different things. And some people don't even know what this dish is if you're talking about at a global level, right? So we wanted to be very out there, like in terms of, if you Google Paniyaram, you should be able to see what it is. So that's how the kind of name came. And it's already a long name, right? The Paniyaram Company is a long name. We've got a small tagline saying a bite of South India.
Yeah.
Again, having better than your mom, it's too much text, too much word.
That's it.
Into it. And also, like, it's not so out there, as a.
Yeah.
Sure, we like witty taglines, but I don't want to, push any.
If
button.
the position was in different country, would that be a better tagline? I mean,
no, I think there would be. I think even if it was in the other country, I think I'll retain the same tagline because this is something.
Yeah,
we
that
want
would make
to take.
it better. Yeah, a bite of South India, especially with the authentic taste and things.
Right. So I think the tagline we'll retain, but this is something which we'll probably use more in our branding and.
Especially when they come and then they see they're going to have it.
Yeah, that's right. It's like a challenge.
Yeah. So are there customizations that the customers can ask for?
So, in terms of, like, we do this currently omelettes, basically, which is an omelette. So there's no batter involved in this. This is basically an omelette, but made on a paniyaram kalle. So it's like omelette balls. And some people like their eggs runny. Some people like it fully cooked. So we do a little bit of customization on there. Some people ask us for an assorted platter. Like, can you give me one chettinad chicken, one Szechuan, one paneer? I want to try everything. And
how does that work for you? I mean, when you have to give one of...
so at the moment, we aren't catering to that as yet. It's slightly trickier because once you put the filling inside the paniyaram and you flip it, even the person making it wouldn't know what is in it. Because the filling is now inside the paniyaram, right?
How to identify though?
Yeah, because like once you put the fillings into... So we've separated everything, right? Like we already have a separate non-veg burner and we have separate grill for the veg. And once you put the filling in it and flip the paniyaram, then you're looking at the top of the paniyaram and the filling is inside. So it's hard for them to say which is in what. The way we would be able to tackle, like I tried looking at tackling that problem at the moment would be to have specific rows on the color designed for specific flavors. So this flavor would be put in that. But it's just a little more operationally heavy. We want to be able to serve food quickly rather than look into this at the moment. So since we are a new brand, at the moment we don't offer assorted boxes as yet. I mean, like if it's my downtime, if there aren't too many people in the store, which off late fortunately has not been too often, so it's a good problem to
that's
have.
good.
Yeah, touch
That's
wood.
really good.
But if when we open, there are a few people sitting, and I feel like I have some time to kind of do. In that case, then I would maybe do a little bit of. I would give them samples and switch out veg and dessert paniyarams. I would make them a few chocolate or strawberry, depending on our availability of time,
Got
how
it.
busy we
Got
are.
it. Yeah. So the next question is, how do you market your restaurant and attract new customers?
Sure. I think in the restaurant industry, marketing brings people in the door once, right? Your food and service is what brings them in again and
Second
again.
time, yeah.
Right. So that's the part we want to cater to. Even the big brands we were talking about, which have lasted 20 plus years, have only started marketing now. 20 years ago there wasn't. Right. So it's kind of like I would think of it like a tool to use your business, not necessarily. It's kind of like, let's say, you don't need running shoes to run, but it helps.
Yeah.
So in that context, you don't need social media
Oh,
to
okay.
run a restaurant, but it helps.
Yes.
Because as long as your product and service is great, then you're talking, right? Then you have a good restaurant to start with. Marketing is secondary, because then word of mouth is what people is a pretty good metric, but it's difficult to calculate, right?
Yeah.
Word of mouth, people talk about it. It's a quantitative number. It's a qualitative data point.
Yeah. In terms of measure, we don't know how it converts.
Exactly.
Yeah,
But
okay.
so I'm standing there, I speak to customers like, how do you hear about our brand? And then they tell me that, okay, you know what, I so and so came here, such and such a person told me that I should try this place.
I think to add on to when you asked me, right, how did you hear about our brand? It was first when he posted it in Instagram. So
Okay.
actually, it is not directly word of mouth.
Through him,
Yeah.
okay.
So it was a thing that he posted. And I was like, what is this? The Paniyaram Company. I thought he was doing something. Then I talked to him about it and he told me this is what is happening. And so definitely I came to know with social media.
Yeah, a lot of people actually off late.
All of my friends, as in the other friends that same class group, right? The other friends that I talked to, they were also pretty much asking about it, asking, okay, this guy posted about this, what is happening?
Yeah,
Since I
okay.
talked to him.
Okay.
So even they got to know from social media.
Oh,
So
through
I
social
think
media.
a certain group of people definitely.
Absolutely. It is very helpful. The thing about social media, there's a good side to it and there's a downside to it. Now, as a foodie who loves to travel and eat different food, I enjoy reading blogs of food critics and these bloggers, right? I like their content, but off late, what has happened is they start
People are
doing
trying
paid
to
promotion.
promote. Yeah, people are trying to promote something.
Yeah.
So you don't know really what's
Exactly.
happening.
It was beginning to lose authenticity, right? Like I was like, okay, you're eating 15 dishes. How can all 15 be amazing, right?
15 restaurants also.
Yeah, and like everything you're eating is good. It's like, how is it possible that you aren't eating shit food at all in any of these new places you're trying?
Especially when the guys come and market, I see in the videos, they're like, இது ரொம்ப நல்லா இருக்குங்க, இது ரொம்ப நல்லா இருக்குங்க, இதுவும் பயங்கரமா இருக்குங்க, அதுவும் நல்லா இருக்குங்க அப்படின்னு.
Exactly.
Then you know that's not somebody you're going to trust basically.
Yeah, exactly. So all our bloggers who have come to Paniyaram Company so far, there've been about 2-3. Like I haven't done any paid promotions or called anybody as yet. It's very organic. People have come, they've taken some videos, and I wake up next morning, I'm like, oh, there's a reel about our place. Right? And it's kind of helped bring people into the door, so all of that is helpful. But some of them have been like, oh, this is also good, this is also good, this is also good. And they've spoken nicely about the items we have served.
Definitely it's positively helping the place, but
yes.
when you look at it like a foodie, right, when you want to go somewhere, you don't know what is good and what is not. It doesn't attract the right people or the right.
So all these when people reach out to me, like there are a lot of bloggers reach out to me saying, hey, we are doing paid promotions, would you be interested in this?
Okay.
I'm like, see, to be honest, I don't want my customers to think that I'm paying for good reviews. it's genuine. If you're open to doing a barter, I'm happy to host you. Your meals on the house, but give me genuine feedback, right?
Yeah.
If the food is good, tell me it's good. If something needs to be worked on, tell me that I need to improve these things. I'm pretty sure, like if I go to even Gordon Ramsay's restaurant, I'll probably have maybe a problem with one or two dishes of his. Like it's just
There was a recent episode that he was making Indonesian dish. I don't know if you saw that. The chef will be like, the other chef, where Gordon Ramsay makes his dish, and the other chef is like,
oh yeah,
you watched that one?
I watched that. I watched
What?
that one.
Yeah, this is the
This is
thing.
not
He
pad
said,
thai. He's making pad thai. Yeah.
So that was like his own medicine.
Idiot sandwich.
Yes,
What he says.
yes.
But so that's kind of the thing with these paid promotions and these bloggers, right?
It's good to see that somebody is giving note to this, especially when everybody, 4-star hotels, 3-star hotels, and whatever the big hotels are, they are inviting some very random people. And when those guys are talking about it, when I look at the quality of what they are saying, you don't even need to look at the dish or what they are posting as a video. Just what they are saying, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't stand to anything.
Yeah. And when they speak about a dish, they'll eat something and be like, oh, it's a level. Okay, fine, it's good, but what's the
see, that's
flavor
what-
profile
when
of
you're in that
dish?
industry, you know that they are just saying some random things. Oh, it's so super, it's so good. No, tell me in a way that I can quantify all these things.
Yeah, exactly. Like, what's the flavor profile of that dish? What is good about it? What is not good about it? So these are the things which I want to know from food bloggers. There are a couple of them whom on Instagram I've liked because maybe they're I feel like more genuine than the others. So I tell them back. I send them a message saying, hey, you know what? I think your content is really good,
Okay.
and since you try so many new places. We've just opened a new restaurant here in Pilamedu. We'd love for you to try. And that's it, right? Like, I'm not after them to come make a video, post on Instagram, nothing. Since they eat so much food outside,
Definitely
give me
they
some
wanna come and
feedback
try.
on it, right? So come try it out. If you want to post something, sure. At least it'll be genuine that way.
Yeah.
Because then if I pay them for it, then they feel obligated to say nice
do.
things. So,
Definitely.
I mean, maybe there will be a time when we plan our paid promotions. We'll see at the time. But at the moment, I think I want to be organic.
I mean, it's good to hear that because, like I said again, a lot of people pay, or I don't know how they do it. I'm not sure if they pay or they just come and have it like a mutual thing.
So it depends on how many followers that person has.
Yeah, so
as
again,
the more
it's
followers
commercial.
they have.
Basically, it's
It
on
is.
the commercial
It
side.
is
So they
very
have,
commercial.
and they're not going to come and say it's bad. Why? They are definitely not going to say it's bad.
Yeah. They can't. I mean, like, if they've taken money for it, they can't say it's bad, right?
The only place I see where people say bad things are the flight tickets and the flight delays. Most of the places, like everything is good, because they are working with the brand or some kind of promotion is going on, right? The only places like the celebrities talk about is, no, this is the flight I took and this is what happened to me.
See, I was telling you, right? The other industry is the
Industry,
airline
airline industry, right?
So
There
it
it
is a
goes.
very cutthroat industry, and there are some nice bloggers, who want to come and just organically speak about the place. They're just passionate about their food, and we are happy to host all of them.
I would really like to see some of those because most of the time when I see them, right, it's almost like they are doing something for the content.
Yeah.
It's not for the place or the restaurant or the hotel or for the food. It's mostly for, okay, fine, my channel is going to get this kind of things
Yeah.
because of this collaboration or something like that.
Yeah, like on the first day when we launched, and our second day we had somebody come take a parcel and go home. We saw them taking some videos, but we didn't know anything about it. They came, they paid for their food, they took their food and went home.
that's
Next day they made a video. Yeah,
That's good. I mean, that's very authentic.
That's
Come,
authentic.
just do whatever. You're not going to tell anybody what.
Yeah.
Just go home, then do the unboxing, basically, right?
Exactly. That's exactly what they did. And they had about 4,000 followers. We were at what? We just started our page. We were at 300.
Oh.
And that reel went viral. We have some 75K views on that reel.
That's good.
So it's been like, it's nice to see authentic stuff come to life.
I really like that.
So that's the kind of content we are after as well. And anything I do on my page, whether it's a collaboration or whether it is a reel which a blogger has made, it's all genuine. Like, I haven't paid anybody anything for that.
That's good. That's something other people have to learn, I think.
Yeah. I mean, it depends on the vision, right? Like, if your goal is profit, if you're at the end of the day in it for purely profitability, then sure, you consider it as a marketing expense.
So
Call
what do you
a few
prioritize on,
bloggers.
basically, right?
Yeah. Well, I'm not saying I'm running a charity, but
Yeah.
at the same time, like
Let the
I'm
message go out there.
Yeah. Yeah, but I'm very passionate about
Since
the
you're building
product,
the
man.
brand in a certain way, you like certain things.
Yes, yes. It's about the product comes first, always.
Yeah, like
Especially when you're consuming it, right? That's something
Yeah.
which we have to take very seriously.
Yeah, especially when it goes into your body.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think Elon Musk said it once. I mean, they do it with their company. Like, you don't need to promote or market if the product is so genuine and good. That's going to do it for itself.
Exactly.
Right.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So the next question is the biggest challenge you faced until now in this industry.
Quite a few actually. Staffing is a pretty challenging
Yeah,
space.
employee turnover.
Yeah. I have right now about 5 plus 1, 6
Okay.
staff. Initially, finding them is challenging. Making them stay
Keeping
is
them.
even more challenging.
Yeah, no, because since I'm also like, I mean, I've been looking at what is happening in this industry, right? Hotel industry for a while. Every time you go visit a place, new employees, even the heads, as in not the staff, as in the manager is different, the HR is different,
Yeah.
the office guy is different, the guy who's in the entrance is different. So many things keep changing, right? And there is if there is like a family restaurant, right? Certain things that they see pleases them, so they come back, like the service and the person who's providing the service, right? The same guy, basically. It's not a different guy. I'm not telling there should be the same guy till the business dies, but in a certain way, at least employees who knows what they are doing. Because if they are changing at a rapid speed, there is no training. Of course, you cannot.
Yeah.
If they are changing so
Yeah.
fast, how do you like train them?
Exactly. Yeah. It is. If they're changing so fast. So at the moment, we are still early in that stage. For me, luckily, the people who left before we opened. So that kind of worked out. Like, and it's kind of like you're adopting kids. My staff, couple of them are from Nepal, couple of them are from Manipur, and they are nice to work with. When 2 of my staff came from Nepal, they brought a couple of their friends.
Okay.
Couple of weeks before our restaurant brought, as in like I have to like get them train tickets, put them on a train, get somebody to drop them off at a station because they don't know the language, bring them over here, get them picked up at the thing, house them. I've given them beds, gas, stove, curtains, pillows, mattress, whatever, right? Like, it's like you're setting up a room for somebody to come here and run your business. Couple of weeks before we started, 2 of them ran away, and then we had to find 2 more people. So then I found about 3 of them from Manipur. And fortunately, this team has stuck with us so far. I think I also give them, in terms of freedom of operations, how they want to take. So, I'm not going to tell them, you come here at this time, you go here at this time.
Okay.
Right? For me, it's like, okay, see, my service starts at 4. We're open till 2. My service needs to be super smooth. I will help you organize the rosters or the shifts or whatever. But you tell me what needs to work for you. So the way our thing works is, it's not like initially I thought, okay, not everybody would come at 3 and everybody would leave after closing. But now, a couple of my staff come at 2.
Okay.
They do
Prepare
the prep,
everything, yeah.
like tenga chutney, and some chutneys we need to make fresh in house because of shelf life and all. So
Okay.
all of that is being made before opening. 4 o'clock, at 3:30 everybody else comes. At 4 o'clock these guys go on a break for an hour and a half,
Okay.
and then and then they come back, and then the entire team is there till closing. So I've kind of given them a little bit of freedom as to how they want to. I'm okay with them taking shifts or taking breaks, so that they are comfortable, as long as the work is functioning smoothly and without any issues, right? And I think they understand that as well. Now I had implemented something like this for my mother's boutique, which I'm going to slowly implement into my work as well. And what I'm doing is basically investing 1 day's salary every month for my employee.
Oh, that's good.
And what that happens is, so for example, if an employee's salary in a daily wage is 1,000 rupees, I'm investing 1,000 rupees a month for that employee. So that's about 12,000 rupees a year for that employee. When he stays with me for 5 years, I'm investing that in mutual funds. Markets are good, returns are good, and whatever returns that accumulates
Okay.
in that 5 years, right? I give them like if I've accumulated 1,000 rupees for them, they don't expect like for me that returns is kind of to offset it. But for me, if I'm investing 12,000 rupees for I mean, if I'm investing 12,000 rupees every year, at the end of 5 years, I'll give them a lump sum 60,000 or plus bonuses or plus returns or whatever, right? So that way, it kind of helps them. It helps with a little bit of retention.
It motivates them also.
Yeah,
right?
and if they leave before that, then I'm investing for
Okay.
the betterment of the business. So it's a kind of a win-win that way. So that's something which I'm kind of bringing in. We do a lot of team building activities. We book a turf nearby. In fact, pretty close to here, we play. We play cricket, we play football with the staff. We have we have a good bonding with the staff, and we get along pretty well. So they also take their job very seriously. I think that's how the atmosphere has to be happy, right? I'm not going to be there like Hitler standing with the stick and be like, like how things were in a boarding school, right? Like
the headmaster.
Yeah, the headmaster. I should have said headmaster.
Anyway, that's the idea. Basically, people get the idea.
Yeah.
So next section that we have is called the bust a myth. Okay, so I'll tell you a few things. You're going to say if it's yes, why? If it's no, why? Yeah,
sure.
High price equals high quality.
No, that's a myth.
Yeah.
In our case, it's different. But I think high price is
Good
high
answer.
price
It's a myth.
I think it is because I'll talk to you about in the food industry. It's different.
Okay.
Let's put it that way. Clothes. Let's talk clothes. Right. You buy a T-shirt. If you might see a T-shirt for $400 and you'll see a T-shirt for $1,500 and there'll be a good difference in quality. The $1,500 T-shirt will be better quality than the T-shirt
Yeah.
Then there's a T-shirt for $10,000. Now there's not going to be much quality difference between a 1,500 or 2,000 rupee T-shirt with a 10,000 rupee T-shirt, right? There you're paying for the brand,
Yes.
not the quality.
Yeah.
Because even in 2,000 rupee T-shirt, the quality is good,
Yeah.
right? And we calculate. I calculate it in terms of wears. Right now, I wouldn't mind spending money on a shoe or a watch or a belt or a wallet because I think these things last longer.
Yeah.
So okay, if I spend something like let's say I spent 10,000 rupees on something, right? And if I have worn that for more than 10,000 times, then every time I wore it, it costed me only 1 rupee.
That's a good way of looking at it.
So those things are, but it doesn't happen like that with clothes. In clothes, it's different. Once you spill something while you're eating, or one hot iron, and your T-shirt or shirt is gone, right? So then that's just not worth it. So I feel like not high price, not always equates to high quality, but in the food industry, it can.
Yeah.
Because things are different. Like you see in my place, it's prime real estate. It's the ingredients we use are like top notch. My coffee cost me $2,700 a kilo and things like that. So it's like I don't expect the end consumer to understand a lot of things. It's just that okay, I go home happy knowing that I've served the best quality product and at a decently affordable price. It's not like exorbitant pricing. If a regular kuli paniyaram can cost 120 rupees, a paniyaram stuffed with chicken and mutton can definitely cost 180 to 190 rupees.
Yeah.
But yeah, I do have had that question where people ask me, your paniyarams are priced a little expensive. I'm like, what are you comparing it to? There's no market here for this, right? And they're comparing it to the classic kuli paniyaram. And that also is like $120 for 6 pieces. I'm like,
especially in those outlets we were talking about 20-25 years.
Yeah, exactly. That's right.
Understood. Yeah. So the next one is busy restaurant means great food
or great service.
So
what I'm saying is no, busy does not mean always that the food is great. It could mean that the restaurant service is good. It could mean that the waiter who served you last time was really good at his job.
Or even cheap food, a lot of people can easily go.
Yeah.
Busy. If it's busy, it means cheap food also.
Cheap. Yeah. Like there are a lot of hawkers, street hawkers and vendors who give you a lot of quantity.
Yes.
For your price. right? So busy does not always mean good food. Busy can also mean cheap food. Busy can also mean larger
Quantity.
quantities.
Yeah.
Um, busy can also mean
Unlimited rice, the ration thing that happens.
unlimited rice. There's a very popular biryani place in our city. I saw these food bloggers. They're like, "நம்ம ஊர்ல best biryani உங்களுக்கு எங்க கிடைக்கும்?" And a lot of people spoke about that biryani, and I'm like, that biryani isn't that great. It's just that you order one portion, four of you guys can eat it. Right? So it's, and India is a value sensitive market, especially Tamil Nadu. We're very like value sensitive, and we're also like, as a nation, we are a price sensitive market and things like that. So there is a crowd, and we are also densely populated, right? So I think it's not
There's a crowd
necessary-
for everything, basically.
Exactly.
Chef-owned restaurants are always the best.
No. Chef-owned restaurants, the food can be really good.
Okay.
They're very passionate about the industry.
Okay.
So those can be plus points for that restaurant, but you need to know how to run a business.
These are two different things.
Yeah,
Right?
they're completely two different things. Like, see, I'm not a chef, right? But my friends are. I
Okay.
know I have access to the right talent, and have a little bit of understanding about the space. So I feel like it's not always that chefs restaurants are the best, but I personally prefer dining in a lot of them because you would buy a watch from a watchmaker,
Oh,
right?
yes.
Not a designer, right?
Definitely.
So for those reasons, I would definitely prefer visiting restaurants of chefs because they specialize in it. That's their passion. That's what they do.
Do you
So,
think there are many here?
Yes.
Have you tried?
not, I wouldn't say many. There are a few. Quite a few of them.
As in a premium place, not like.
Yeah. I mean, Vando is considered premium.
Okay.
Pizza costs $1,000.
When we talk about cutting the cost, what's the first thing that comes to your mind?
Cutting the cost is, I mean, like, I think people start to cut cost. Cutting cost is a sign that your first initial assumption of certain things aren't going well. Otherwise, why would you need to cut cost? Right? Like, in your implementation, from theory, when you're implementing it, if there is a gap between your implementation and your theory, that's when you may need to cut cost. But I personally don't believe in that at the moment. Maybe because I don't run a larger scale restaurant, I wouldn't know. But if I do, maybe I would. But
Maybe
at
after
the
an year or something, it might be a little different.
I think if it was a large, this is a product centric brand,
Okay.
right? So we have varieties of paniyarams and we have few chutneys, right? So there's not much room for inefficiencies. I mean, of course, there are inefficiencies, but when compared to a restaurant with a larger menu, right? So rather than cutting cost, I think it is about how we create value for the consumer. So
That's a better way of looking at it, actually. Yeah.
because cost cutting is what typically commercial restaurants would do. And you would cut costs in what you compromise on quality, or you would, I mean, cutting cost means compromising.
Okay.
Right, like you're cutting cost means you're compromising on some aspect, whether it is your staff, whether it is your food, whether it is your service, whether it is your outlet location.
So it is not really cutting costs, something else also sacrificed.
Yeah, absolutely. Cutting cost leads to that. So I feel like it's basically bridging that gap between what you planned on theory and what's actually happening, right? Because if you planned on theory that, okay, you know what, this is my expected revenue for the month, this is how much my food cost is, this is how much my packaging is, this is basically breakdown of unit economics, and if your business model works on paper, then it should work in theory, but not always that's the case, right? Sometimes in theory, things go a little different, and that's when people start thinking about this. Oh, you know what, I'm not making enough money this month based on my expected revenue, I'm not hitting it. Now how do I cut costs to at least stay afloat? So I think that when it comes to cutting costs, that means there's something else which you're doing wrong, and you need to, which is probably what you're struggling with. So it's about downing to what exactly is the issue, and trying to cater to that. Like, one thing which is very crucial in this restaurant industry is the volatility of the vegetable prices, right? Like it's crazy volatile, right? Like it can be
Stock
multifold.
market.
Yeah,
Like a
even
stock-
more than the stock market, right? In stock
Most
market, you can read the
volatile.
candles and you have some sort of a prediction. And this it's a little more challenging. It's very tricky. Like your stock can increase by 10-20% or go down by 20-30%. Like the Indian stock market in 2008 recession went down by about 27%. But in vegetables, it's different, right? Like it's multifold, like 200%, 300%. The volatility is so high.
So you have to bear the cost, or I mean, how does that work? Like suddenly things are changing. That's another question that I want to ask.
Yeah, sure. So at the moment, we two main ingredients, right? In our business, we use chinna vengayam
Yeah.
rather than the regular vengayam.
Okay.
Chinna vengayam was crazy expensive,
Yeah.
but that's what gives it the taste. Okay, and chinna vengayam is one of the most expensive ingredients in this. I mean, tomatoes as well, but tomatoes we use in our takali tokku, and we use a lot of tomatoes. So when you cook about 20 kilos of tomatoes, your yield becomes half. Um, so there is like tomato-based chutneys and food is generally expensive, and it has a little bit of volatility. But the way at the moment how I'm dealing with it is we've been open for a month and a half.
Okay.
And there has been difference already in the pricing of these vegetables, right? From what we did our costing. Now I'm not going to increase my price or make the customer bear it, right? It has to be volatile out of my at the moment out of our business model, right? So basically what I'm buying, like the deal we have with these home chefs and these vendors, I don't want them to bear it as well, because they're not running an empire where they can kind of deal with so much volatility in prices.
Yes.
If it comes to chutneys, I was telling you, right? Like we had about 10 to 12 different chutneys, and we had to shortlist into six. One of our biggest, one of our most expensive chutneys is the takali tokku. And sometimes if the price of tomatoes is multifold, then it just doesn't work for our vendors as well. So we just then, we would probably, bring out a different chutney that weekend to try. In fact, have so many chutneys I want to bring out. Like there's this peanut vengayam chutney, which is one of my favorites, and it's not there in our list at the moment. So I just need an excuse to be able to bring out.
So it's going to be
different-
more like an advantage rather than
It
a
is
disadvantage.
exactly. It's about how we look at it, right?
Yeah, that's good.
So it gives me a chance to test out different chutneys in the market, see how customers like that better, and whatever I'm buying from my vendors, I am paying that cost for it, right? Like in terms of premium. Like if I know I need small onions which are useful in all my dishes. Small onions prices might double. Then I have to pay a little bit more for it, knowing that this is temporary, and kind of work on coming back to that price once the price is back to normal. Like in the rainy season, it's generally a challenge. So maybe once the season's over and beginning of next season, we should be dealing with the prices should be maybe a little bit better. So for the time being, we kind of deal with all of that, because we want to create the value to the customer, and at the same time, make sure our vendors are happy, because this is about empowering home chefs, right? And they don't have a lot of capital, or they don't run a big empire for them to deal with this volatility, right? So that's why we come in, and we kind of up to an extent we bear that volatility, but it's about volume, right? So if I turn around and look at it at a whole year, if I see, okay, this is so many months in the year, this is how much the price is, and so many months in the year, this is how much the price is. So once I'm more functional for a few more months, I'll have more data to analyze and take those calls better.
That's good. Especially when you come into the business thinking about you also want to empower the home chefs, right? That's a very different thing. Yeah. Because most of the people want to get in to make money.
Yeah.
Right. Most of the people want to get in for different things, right? Different reasons. Especially one of the biggest is money. And when you said you want to empower the home chefs, that's a totally different aspect. Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's a win-win for everybody, right? Like if I don't give them the business, I'll put a kitchen myself. If I have a kitchen myself, I'll be monitoring it myself. I'll have operational costs. I'll have other hurdles. I'll have to buy a lot of other equipment and all of that, right? So I'm anyway going to be spending on production of the product, right? So if I'm anyway going to be spending on the production of the product, all the one-time costs like the equipment and everything, I'd rather buy it for that specific home chef and set up their kitchen so that at least for me time is more important at the moment, right? Then if I was running my own kitchen, I have to monitor that as well. Right now I know that we've got some my procurement is in good hands. They've been trained, they have so much experience with the food space. And anyway, instead of me spending that operational cost on running of my kitchen, it is something where we kind of work with them on that, right? So at least there's a little bit more space for me to focus on bigger things,
Yeah.
while they earn a livelihood out of it as well. So it's good for them. At the same time, it's good for us, for our business as well. So it's a win-win in this case, right?
Yeah.
It's not more of a. It's not like a compromise. It's more of a.
When
Yeah.
perfect. What is the craziest rumor you have heard about your restaurant?
Um, that we well, it's still new, but the craziest rumors. A lot of people think that we function in Vando, like.
Oh, okay.
Because what happened was initially in the month of December, to gain some consumer feedback and see the response on some of our dishes, we were supposed to put a stall in Santa Social,
Okay.
which is that exhibition
That
which
happened.
happens
Yeah, yeah,
every
yeah.
year in December. It happens
Yes,
in
yes.
that Alexander Equestrian Club.
Yes.
So we were supposed to put a stall over there.
Okay.
We prepped about 500 portions and had our stall. Stall was supposed to be on Saturday, Sunday. Friday night, heavy rains. The whole event was washed out.
Oh, okay. The event itself.
Yeah, the
Okay.
whole event was washed
Oh.
out. It was postponed to a couple of weeks later, which we couldn't make because we weren't in town. But we were sitting with 500 portions in our refrigerator. Um, so what we did at the time was we had a pop-up event in Vando Cafe, where we went on social media, and put out the word.
That's where the reel is from.
That's where the first reel is from.
So I didn't understand when I saw the collaboration.
Yeah.
I thought, okay, fine, since you're friends, and I was trying to relate all these things when I was thinking about the reel, but now I get it. I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, fine. This
all,
is
all three of us had 3 stalls there. Paniyaram Company was one stall, Vando was one stall, and then Uvu Desserts, which is another dessert brand by my other friend Vedika.
Okay.
So 3 of us had stalls there, and it didn't work out. So what we decided to do was, since we have prep for all this, let's have a weekend special in Vando for Saturday and Sunday, and we'll put out the word on our social medias. So all 3 brands put out the word on their own respective social medias, and we kind of brought in the crowd that weekend to gain that customer. At that time we didn't have a location as well, so we were just trying to test out the market and see how the customers like the product and things like that. So even after after that weekend was over the next even for the next few months, people still go to Vando and ask them, "Can you serve us paniyarams?" And they're like, "No, that was just for one weekend." So a lot of people think that Paniyaram Company is in Vando when it's not. It's actually near SMS Hotels, in the parking of SMS Hotels behind
perfect.
Creamstone.
Now they know. So the next question is, if you could invite 3 famous people, living or dead, to dine at your restaurant, who would it be?
That's interesting. Okay. 3 famous people.
Living or dead?
Okay, no, I think I'll go with the living. I mean, if it was in any other context, I would have chosen maybe dead people. But in this context, because it has to be for the betterment of the business, it'll be living.
Okay.
I would say it's a little challenging, but I would definitely want to bring Gordon Ramsay. One of it. Not necessarily because he's such a decorated chef. Of course, he's a great decorated chef and all of that good things. But he's also very popular on social media. So I think it'll bring me business.
Definitely.
If I bring Gordon Ramsay, he'll be a good ambassador to the place. And he's in terms of social media outreach, he's one of the most popular chefs. So I definitely want to bring him, irrespective of. I'm not comparing chefs' culinary expertise. I'm just bringing about how popular
they are.
they are.
Understood.
So I definitely big Gordon Ramsay would be one of them. I would bring in, let's say, Okay, I don't want to take too much time on this, but it is a little tricky question.
It's fine. Doesn't need to be three. It can. Okay, one is Gordon Ramsay. Maybe
Yeah.
another one.
I'll probably bring in CEO of maybe the Star Alliance, like airlines group. I think
Okay.
I should be able to cater to a lot of different airlines continuously.
For the business,
Yeah, yeah.
that's good.
In terms
That's
of
good.
food, and maybe I'd bring in um Nikhil Kamath.
Yeah, we just talked about
Yeah.
him. Yeah,
I like
perfect.
the guy.
Perfect. That's good. How do you balance your business and your life, especially when you said you're working the job from there and then the company's here and
Yeah.
then your personal life? How do you balance all this?
Yeah, it's actually pretty challenging at the moment. There's not much of a balance. It's been working really long hours. So my day would start, like let's say I'm doing my US job. It's supposed to be from 1:30 in the afternoon to 9:30 at night, but since I start a little later, it kind of goes on till a little later. Um, Up until the restaurant was open, I would start from maybe in the morning about 10-ish. I'd start my US work a little earlier.
Okay.
So I can work on that till post lunch. After which I'd head over to the Paniyaram Company and run that till about 11 or 10:30, and then come back and then again continue my US gig. If I have meetings in the evening, which is usually the case, then I would go to Paniyaram Company a little earlier and then switch it out. But then it's shuffled between these two, so it's not like it depends on where it needs me at what time. I'd spend more time on that. Um, so yeah, my day would probably start at about 10 in the morning and it goes on till about 2 in the morning.
Oh,
And then repeat. So it's kind of like that. And then I get about a half an hour of my time to myself where I spoke.
The 20
spoke
minutes.
About, that's my.
That's the
kinda
balance,
like,
basically.
That's kind of like the balance.
Yeah.
Yeah. And since the US job has days off on Saturday, Sunday. But Saturday, Sunday is the most busiest day in Paniyaram Company.
Okay. So that's why the Monday is a holiday here.
And Monday is a holiday here, but Monday is the most busiest day in my US job.
First day of work.
Yeah, so there are no weekends as such. It's like a 7-day grind. The Monday is a holiday for my staff actually, because I can be hard on myself. I can't expect my staff to work 7 days a week, and if we do, we will have to increase our staff and put a roster. Give them shifts where we can start. But at the moment, that also helps us deep clean the place. Hygiene again is so important. So
Yes.
yeah, we need that day off at the moment.
Agreed. A question you think I should have asked you?
Oh. What are my plans for scaling this business?
Okay. What are your plans? Let's go.
So I feel running one outlet is fine, but I do want to scale this brand. We want to take it to the world, so we have to grow in multiple outlets. I am not a believer of franchising at the moment.
Okay.
Because I feel like this is our first outlet. Everything is very. We have a roadmap for this. Last month we focused on operations. This month we are focusing on deliveries. Next month we'll be focusing on events. The month after that we'll be focusing on catering.
Okay.
These are 4 main channels which I want to open up. Once I open up these 4 main channels, I'll be able to identify inefficiencies in these channels or where I need to improve. Once that's working like clockwork, then I know, okay, I have one brand, one outlet which is functioning up to its full potential. Then the next part would be for me to put my kitchen to full potential. I feel my kitchen can still handle, maybe if I employ one staff there, I can maybe cater to 2 outlets.
Okay.
So I want to be able to cater to that, to bring my kitchen to efficiency and having multiple outlets. So I'll have about a few different branches I see in Coimbatore, hopefully. After which we want to start scaling into different cities. If we were doing a brand like a food which is commonly available or ordered everywhere, like a pizza or a burger or a biryani, then I would have probably thought about tier 2 cities. But since ours is a category creation brand, we want to move to places with higher disposable income. So we'd be thinking about moving to, the metro cities. I got a franchise offer from Chennai for about 50 stores.
Okay.
I mean, at the moment, it's very nice to see so much enthusiasm and thrill around the brand, and about the interest of franchising. But for me to be able to run a successful chain, even though I'm giving out franchises, I need to be able to manage multiple outlets first.
Okay.
So we want to learn that space. We want to be able to run a few outlets of our own, grow the brand to as many outlets as we can handle first, and then think about scaling. There are a lot of other scaling models which we initially thought of at the moment, but the first one is to have multiple outlets. You could do backward integration, batter manufacturing. We could do flash freezing of food and export it to the European and American markets. When I was there in America, I would go to the Indian store and you would get a lot of these pre-packaged foods where
Yes.
you would get like a foil on it, you poke a few holes and steam it, and then your food's ready. And we personally, I mean, in India, the frozen food market
It's not a big
is not a
thing,
big deal,
yeah.
because everything is available cheaper and it's quicker. So I feel like that way the Indian market isn't so much into frozen as yet.
Yeah.
There are a lot of brands which are coming up with frozen food, but I think that's one option of exporting food to the other markets. So there are a lot of different ways, but at the moment, all of that is just talk. It's mostly having multiple branches of our own in different cities to start with.
Perfect. Perfect. So that's the future plan for Paniyaram Company.
Yes, so far.
Yeah, great. A question you want to ask me?
When are you visiting me?
I'll
Well,
be
I
there
thought we-
today. I'll be there. I'll be there today. Yeah,
Nice, nice.
right
Okay.
after this, I'll be there in the evening. Yeah. Good question. I'll be there today.
But yeah, I mean, other than that, no, I just want to say that I think this is a great initiative, what you're doing. I think it's good that people want to, get to watch content from different industries. Today you have me from the restaurant space, but tomorrow you'll have somebody else from a different space.
Yes.
So I think that's a great initiative which you've started. So kudos on that, and all the very best for the No Fairy Tales podcast. Definitely none of this was fairy tales.
Yeah.
So that's
True
it's
stories.
really cool.
Thank you.
Good stuff.
Thank you. Where can people find you?
So location is Avinashi Road, Pilamedu,
Okay.
right behind Creamstone, next to SMS Hotels. So little in front of the Arya Bhavan, right? So little in front of the Arya Bhavan on the left side is where we are located. But you can find us on Instagram, you can find us on Swiggy, you should be able to find us on Zomato from next week. I want to open all sorts of channels possible.
Okay.
We will eventually be, like in a couple of weeks, we'll be starting our own ordering widget. So you should be able to order food from our Instagram, because that way it's we're able to price it at the same prices as our in dining menu.
Okay.
So that's what I kind of want to go towards. We'll also be having car service. So we have a QR code outside our restaurant. So you don't even need to get down from your car. You just drive by our store, scan the code, park it, place your order, the order comes in. And once the food's ready, we send it straight to your car. So we'll have car service, we'll have deliveries, we'll have dine-in options. We'll soon be doing events and caterings as well. So you should be able to find us in all possible channels. If you don't, then that's a problem which I'll have to work on.
Agreed. Yeah. Next thing is one life lesson from the restaurant industry.
Life lesson from the restaurant industry is that you constantly have to be involved in the thinking of this. There's no switching off at the moment, and I feel like still it's a little early for me to answer that question because we've just kind of ventured into this brand and it's still a relatively new brand.
Yes.
But I think giving people what they want, but at the same time having the balance for the food we want to serve. If you look at a lot of chef-based restaurants, right, some of them are like, this is what I want to serve and this is what the customer should eat, right? So if you go to Michelin star or something, there's like a preset menu, right? You go in there, this is what you're going to eat. You're not going to order anything else. You want to eat that, you eat that. You don't want to eat that, you don't eat that. So it's about finding that balance as well, on how we can eventually achieve that. If it was in the classic restaurant industry, but in our situation, where we are running a fast food brand, I think service is very crucial, very important, and the product, of course. I mean, as cliche as it sounds, those are the two most important things which we got to stay on top of.
Perfect then.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, with that, guys, we're going to wind up this session. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you. Thank
So,
you so much
Akash,
for having me.
yeah.
It was a pleasure.